It's Too Many Men on the Mic, presented by Netfront LLC. Now here's Coach Drew and Coach Jared.
Coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri, it is July, and that means steamy. It is steamy outside.
It's been my poor dog, he can't go outside. And I'm not waking up at 3 a.m. to take him for a walk. So he's about to go to No Leash Needed tomorrow.
Nice.
No free ads, but No Leash Needed, brought to you by Rock Hill, Missouri, at Manchester. Because that dog is driving me nuts. And I don't blame him, but yeah, it's steamy.
Yeah, mine go out and they're out for, 22 seconds, and then they want to come right back in.
So you said mine as in plural. And, I have been arguing with Kelly about this for years, that we need to have 2 dogs.
Yeah, your dog needs a friend.
Exactly.
Partner in crime.
Exactly. And
it wasn't me who threw her up on the carpet.
She is dead set against it, will not allow it. But I'm like, if we got an extra one, the dog would be so much easier to handle.
Absolutely. Facts. Those are facts right there.
So as the kids say, facts. Yeah, she's gonna have to. You may have to talk her into that.
I am not stepping into that. I just want you to know that I'm here for the support every time you come on the show, and I'll support you. But I'm not getting involved in that.
Well, the thing is she wants a little dog. So maybe if we got her a little dog, we could have a big dog and a little dog. I'm not big on little dogs.
I've heard that story before. Yeah, I've heard that story before. Well, outside of it being steamy and July, which I feel like is when people go on vacation, it's like the 1 month of summer when everybody can kind of take a deep breath. I think you've been on a little R&R. I was just on some R&R, or on assignment, as Grant likes to call it. And it's a great time to pause and reflect. But during this time, we always are looking for fun interviews, fun people to talk to. This week is no different. We're going to be playing an interview clip with Lindsey Fry. I love this story. Lyndsey grew up in Chandler, Arizona. So Arizona, not known as a hockey hotbed historically. But I remember Keith Tkachuk days before the Blues got him. And it's kind of the extension of the Gretzky factor. He came to California after that trade, and then it just kind of spread. And now we have teams that are in Vegas. And so the Southwest has suddenly become an ice hockey mecca out in that area. But cool story. I just want to put some fun facts out there for you to chew on and our listeners. At the time she was growing up, there was like 20 girls in the entire state that played hockey. She was inspired by Mighty Ducks movies, as I imagine many of our listeners are, certainly some of the players. So much so that she taught herself how to play hockey after watching these movies. And they were a Disney family, so they went to Disneyland and those kinds of stuff too. She stuck with it. And then ultimately that led her and her family to decide to play hockey in Colorado for the Colorado Select. I'm not going to give away the rest of it, but I'm just going to put that out there as kind of a ramp for the beginning of this story.
Well, you did yeoman's work. I was not on the interview, which is probably better for the interview because there's less me and more of the interviewee. But just a great story, like you said. Excited for our listeners, whether you're a boy or a girl. Just the commitment to learning, teaching yourself how to play hockey, and then not wanting to bury the lead. Her story after and the things that she's doing now, I think are just great things for kids and parents and coaches and everybody involved with youth hockey on up to take as inspiration. And oh, by the way, she's an Olympian.
She's a silver medal Olympian, and also has developed a program for girls hockey that has really become a poster model, I should say, for NHL and NHL PA women's hockey advancement throughout the country. So take a listen. Lindsey Fry from the Arizona Kachinas.
It is an honor to have Lindsey Fry, the president and co-founder of the Arizona Kachinas Female Hockey Association, on the Too Many Men on the Mic show. Lindsey, thanks so much for joining us today. How's your day going?
Day's going great. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Well, thanks. We're excited to have you. So you've got a fascinating story, and I won't give it away to the audience. We can get into it through some questions, but you grew up in Arizona when there were fewer than probably 20 girls in the entire state playing hockey. What made you stick with it, and what did your parents do that made the biggest difference in those early years for you?
Yeah. Well, I think there's two things, right? There's like, how did I get into it? And then how did I stay in it? Or why did I
Hmm.
stay in it? And the how I got into it, I I think despite my parents never playing hockey, or anybody in my family ever playing hockey, we're a big Disney family. To this day, we just went on a Disney cruise for my mom's 60th birthday. But because we were a Disney family, I grew up watching the Mighty Ducks movies. Um, and kind of concurrently, like right as I was being introduced to those, my dad was actually working in Southern California. He was traveling back and forth, and so I actually got to go see some real Mighty Ducks games. And that's really what sparked it. I just thought the sport was so cool, and eventually my parents got a stick in my hands, got me on those little like Fisher Price plastic skates that would strap over your shoes, and I was hooked. So I actually started as a roller hockey player. We had organized roller hockey in Arizona at the time, and then was a direct beneficiary of the Arizona Coyotes coming down from Winnipeg, because that just sparked more rinks getting built, one of which was near my house, and switched over to ice hockey and never really looked back throughout my youth career. I say that because I did find my way back to roller for a few years after college, but which I love. I love roller hockey. I wish it was bigger, but I think what kept me in it. I I mean, it really comes down, I think, in a lot of ways to my parents. Not every parent is willing to take on something that is incredibly foreign to them or that they know nothing about and just dive head first because their 5-year old is passionate about it. I think we all, as a parent now, right, like we all like to say or think that we're going to do that. But I don't think it's as easy as that. And I think my parents are special in that way. They just decided when we were born that whatever my brother and I were into, they were gonna go in full, they were jumping right into the water, and they did exactly that. I think, what kept me in it beyond just having a support system that even paid the bills for me to be able to play, and drove me to the rink and all the things. Um, I was really fortunate in that, we didn't have a lot of girls playing hockey, but I definitely found my talent for the sport pretty early, so I could hang with the boys, no problem. I played with the boys until I was a second year 14U, which, when I was growing up, we could hit at 12U. So I played 4 years of full check hockey, and I loved it. And I think just because I got in with that group of kids so young and was never like, behind the curve talent wise. I just always had that respect from them. And I think a lot of girls, that's not what they experienced when they played with boys growing up. I was very fortunate in that regard, that I had a great relationship, and anybody new that came onto the team, if they had a problem with me being a girl, the other kids on the team would straighten that out pretty quickly on my behalf. So yeah, I mean, I think just having like a really supportive culture around me was a big piece of it. Um, and that paired with the fact that I just loved it. I loved playing. I loved being good at it. I loved competing. I loved the physicality. Yeah, just there were so many things about it that I loved. But without that support system, both for my parents and my teammates, like it could have been very different. There are plenty of people that love the game and have a bad cultural experience and decide to quit. And I'm just thankful I wasn't one of those.
Now, did your brother get into hockey after watching you
He did. He's
love it?
he's 2.5 years younger than me. We joke because he got into it when he was like a mini mite, right? Really, really little, and just was like not into it. Didn't do it again for like a year or so, and then came back and was just like this little stud. So he played all the way up through 18U AAA, and then he's actually a very, very good roller hockey player. Ended up playing on the D1 roller hockey team for ASU for 5 years, and yeah, went with that team to
Nice.
the national championships a number of times, and he's actually coaching with me now, which is pretty cool. So hockey has
Oh,
definitely
how cool.
kept our family very, very connected, which is super fun.
So who wins in practice planning, you or him?
Oh, practice planning me for sure. Yeah, he's not even
I
close.
love it. Well, you talked about your support system, and we like doing our research here. And what I heard through, or what I read through research, is that you were going to Colorado on weekends to play high school hockey. Uh,
Yeah.
how did your mom and dad and you decide that was worth it? That sacrifice was worth it? Because I'm sure you could have been doing many other things than getting in a car, or driving to Colorado, or getting in a plane and going to Colorado.
Yeah.
And how do you think about that trade-off now as somebody who runs programs for young players?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, right? Because like now that I'm running a program, um, people that are considering leaving and going elsewhere, one of the things they'll say to me is like, well, you left. And I'm
Right.
like, yeah, that was, almost 20 years ago now. And it was a very, very different time and a very, very different landscape. And by the way, I had the opportunity to go play at Shattuck. I had the opportunity to go play at, these different prep schools around the country. And I think for me, like I knew by the time I was in high school, like my path and my goal was ultimately to go play college hockey. And I just wasn't going to be able to get recruited playing on a boys team in Chandler, Arizona. Girls hockey, unfortunately, here was not, quite at the level collectively that it needed to be at to be able to, get pushed and get better and all of those things. But I just, I turned all those prep school opportunities in the Midwest and back east down predominantly because I knew I was going to have to leave home for college and I didn't want to be full blown away at 13, 14 years old. So it was a really conscious decision for me to stay as close to home as I reasonably could. And that's what I always tell people now is the difference is like I was doing everything I could to stay close to home rather than actively looking to leave. So that's why Colorado ended up being a great option. At the time, it was really a powerhouse out west. We were still considered kind of an underdog around the rest of the country, but we were good. I think in my graduating class, we had like 7 kids go D1. Year before, we had 8 go D1, something like that, and a bunch went D3, which, back then those are some pretty impressive numbers for a girls program. So yeah, when I think about the sacrifice, for me, it didn't really feel that way. Like my social life had always been my teammates, so it didn't really matter. I think for, some people, the high school experience with the dances and whatnot is pretty important to them. I couldn't care less. Like I told one of the kids I coached last year, 19U, that I didn't go to prom, and she was like, devastated for me. I'm like, please don't be. Like, I could not care less. Like, that was just like not me at all. And I actually ended up having to switch to online school halfway through high school because I was just missing too many days with all the travel and
Right.
inevitable sick days and whatnot. And so, yeah, I mean, it was a huge sacrifice though from my parents. I to this day have no idea how much they spent, but I think by then they saw the end goal in the way that I did, which was, to go and play college hockey. And I think that was the most, uh, I think that was the best compromise solution any of us could have come up with was, something flexible. And something that kept me relatively close to home. I could still come home during the week and travel on the weekends, and but definitely a big commitment. And I think, we still have kids do it today. Things happen all the time, mostly on the tier one landscape now, just with how the rules are changing. But yeah, you get kids whose teams fold or whatever, and they want to stay close to home and they need that flexible option. I had a couple kids like that play for me last year, and I think if you're going for the right reasons, and I think as long as you're not leaving because you're getting sold on something that can't be offered in your backyard, that's important. But yeah, you hear all kinds of different reasons for people leaving. I am always happy to share mine, but I think at the end of the day, like, I came home to build something so that girls here wouldn't have to do what I did.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. That's fantastic. And we see that here in the Midwest where kids will leave and around the same age that you just referenced, 13, 14 years old. And we've looked at that on the backside. I've got one that's gone all the way through 18U now. I've got another one that's at 14U. And when you can keep these kids in their own town, in their own community, and offer a good product and a good learning experience, you don't have to leave. So that's fantastic that you've been able to build that out there, and I'm sure your players appreciate that. One of the
Yeah.
things I've truly appreciated as a coach, as I've gotten to coach older kids, so both Jared and I help out with high school kids now, is this is the most experience I've had with coaching female athletes. And I have to tell you, it's an absolute joy having them. We've got a number of them on the team. They're excited, they compete, they want to do well, they listen, they want to get better. And so part of my next question is really catered towards them. And would love to hear your perspective on what do you think what would you say the biggest mistake you see in young female hockey players today? Something that they could fix right now that might change their trajectory, because sometimes I feel like it's, well, I just want to be acknowledged by the boys, accepted by the boys. But you've lived it, and you're coaching female players today at a high level. Any tips out there that you can share with some of our female hockey players listening?
Gosh, I mean, there's a lot of different directions you could go. I would say from a hockey specific standpoint, like, one of the trends I see that I think not all, but like, we see a lot of players struggle with as they get into that, like, 14U and above, is just um, their shooting and their goal scoring ability. Um, some kids it's strength, some it's just they didn't really work on their technique when they were younger, but goal scoring, I think, historically has been a challenge. Again, you get the one, like, superstar who can go score at will, but that's kind of hard to find. I think I think that in some ways is maybe a little bit of a gender difference. Like, sometimes the boys are just like, I don't care, I'm going to go shoot the puck, and I don't care if I have three passing options. Like, this is my puck. I don't know. And I think there are definitely some girls who are definitely socialized, perhaps, to be more of the puck sharer, which isn't
Mm-hmm.
a bad thing. Like, we need our playmakers, but not at the
Right.
expense of, like, being willing to shoot the puck when it's time to shoot the puck. So I would say that's one hockey thing, is just like really working on your shooting and your goal scoring, and just like your hunger for putting the puck in the back of the net in practice and games and everything. The second thing I think is, on ice specific, is I talk a lot about, like, whether you're playing boys hockey or girls hockey doesn't really matter. Like, I think sometimes girls tend to shy away from initiating the contact. It's not that they're afraid to get hit or they're afraid of contact. It's just like they feel like, if I'm trying to get to the net and somebody's defending me, then my best option is to, like, keep skating away from that person as long as I can. And like, yeah, they might keep the puck, but now they've been taken into the corner. And I always am trying to be like, you guys, like one of my favorite things to do when I was younger was like, and playing full hit hockey, but I would honestly do it now, is like hold that puck and like make it your goal while you're holding the puck to knock that kid on their butt. Like drop your shoulder, get to the net. Don't let them drive you to the corner. Don't let them win that angle. Like you own that. You drive, you initiate the contact. And I see so many girls just get like skated off into nowhere because they're afraid of that when they have the puck on their stick. So that would be another one. It's just like contact initiation. And then I think off the ice, I see so many girls, and again, I think this is just unfortunately a product of socialization, but I see so many girls, they have all the potential in the world, but they just are so in their head and afraid to make a mistake or afraid to mess up or afraid to look dumb and afraid, whatever their reason is, afraid of failure. And I certainly had some of that too as a player, particularly the fear of failure one, but it just kills me now to watch as a coach. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like just go for it. Like, who cares? We're at private lessons. It's you and me. Like, who cares if you fall on your face? Just freaking go. And I think, that's something that I really wished if again, not to put girls in a box or boys in a box, but sometimes I think generally speaking, boys are just like, I can do it, even though they like don't actually even know what the drill is, right? But they just like that's just like what they're conditioned to do. And girls are
Right.
like, I think still many, a majority maybe, I don't know, but like I think a lot of girls, at least I see, are still very much like, I'm gonna sit back, I'm gonna watch, I'm gonna do everything I can to do it correctly, but I'm not gonna go too hard because I don't want to screw it up either. And I'm just like,
Right.
stop thinking and just freaking go for it. So
Yeah.
those would be my three pieces of advice.
Well, that's fantastic. I love it. And what better place to try things than in practice, right? Uh, so, two more questions, Lindsey. I want to be courteous of your time here. What do you wish more hockey parents understood about their kids and what they actually need from them on game days?
Um, I mean, I think at the end of the day, like, and I get it, coaches vary and you're gonna have challenges with coaches. That's just life, right? Like you're gonna have challenges with some of your kids' teachers, but ultimately when you signed up for the program, you entrusted your kids' hockey experience with that coach. So I just think, your job as the parent is to be the support system because one thing I found, especially coaching at like the higher tier one level, I can't do my job when I need to of being hard on a kid if I know that they're going to go get in the car and get it doubled down on by their parent. Like I need their parent, kind of how you have that like kind of heavy hand from one coach and then you get like the assistant coach to be the, softer, picky back up type of person. Like those dynamics matter. And if I know that your confidence is like gonna get absolutely crushed if I am hard on you because your parents are about to go rip you in the car too, like that's not helpful. So I like that's really the relationship that I try to foster with parents is like, let me be the bad guy. You be the
Right.
hero that they want to come like fall into your arms when things are challenging. And also they want you to be their biggest cheerleader when things are going well. And I want you to be their biggest cheerleader when things are going really well. So I think like just trust, like letting the coaches do their job is really important. And you're there to be the parent. So be the parent. And I know that's much easier said than done. I think the other thing too is just like, I think unfortunately nowadays, the pathways are so, shouldn't say the pathways. It's just, there are so many different options. And some of them are absolutely legit. Some of them are selling you a dream.
Yep.
And I wish that parents would really do more research, and not just chase, titles or things that really are, fuel the ego more than anything.
Hmm.
And I always tell people that I'm like, look, if you leave to go somewhere else and it's a reputable program and you're going for the right reasons and I'm confident you'll be a good fit there, like I can get behind that. But when we have people leaving to go to like no name places that are making a lot of big promises without much to back it up, that's when I have an issue. So I
Yeah.
think if you have kind of that trusted person in your circle, like ask questions. Don't come to them after the fact and ask. Like ask the questions up front because you get such a limited time with your children, and I'm learning that with my 1.5-year-old. It's amazing how fast that's already flown by, and I can only imagine when you have an 18-year-old. So I think like do what you can to keep them under your roof as long as you can.
Great tips for the parents. Last question, Lindsey. You built the Arizona Kachinas essentially from scratch. For the parents or coaches that are listening out there in a non-traditional hockey market, uh, any tips for where they start? If they, if what
Yeah.
worked for you?
Well, I will say it's a lot harder to start something new than it is to improve something that exists. So if we just, if we want to get real technical, like there's a lot of steps that you have to go through to even just get your status as a USA Hockey program. Um, you also, obviously have to incorporate a business, which for some parents or people that have experience in that, that's not very scary, but it's a step and it costs money and all those things. Um, so I would definitely say like if if something exists, really try to improve that first. That would be my first piece of advice. Because the alternative is sometimes, what we saw here for 20 something years was it was like there was an existing girls program. You'd get one set of pissed off parents that are like, we're going to go start our own thing, split the group. Some of the kids quit, everything got diluted, and then we were right back to where we were. And it was like
Mm,
all that growth never happened. And we saw like 3+ iterations of that. And some states you actually see them trying to put that back in the box, because they just tried to expand, to multiple programs too quickly. And so I would say USA Hockey's even doing that by putting in the tier one moratorium, by doing the DL. Like I think there's a lot of that. So all that to be said, like I think if you're starting something new, start it because nothing exists. Otherwise, if something exists, try to make it better. If neither of those things are true, obviously, like first step is you got to get all the USA Hockey stuff situated, read up on your policies, read up on all of the different ins and outs because there are a trillion of them. Get somebody in your corner who is extremely well versed on them and understands how it all works. Because if you go in blind, you will more than likely fail. Um, and I think one of the biggest things that I've learned over the years is, well, there's like a million, but I would say when we were first starting out, two of the big things were, um, I think for a while there, we were so focused on trying to prevent people from leaving that we lost our way a little bit, focusing on giving an incredible experience for the people that wanted to be here. So if I could go back, I probably would have flipped that. Like you obviously want to fight for every kid to stay in your program, but when you undermine your culture by bending over backwards for the few, you disenchant the many pretty quickly. And the few usually end up leaving eventually anyway, so not always worth it. I would say the other thing is I was very, very protective. I mean, this was my baby, and I really struggled early on to like let people in to help. Um, and I still do to an extent. Like I don't think it's like full blown open season. Anybody can come in. There still has to be that level of trust there that people are in it for the right reasons. But um, we went through like a couple years ago a big expansion where we opened up a lot more seats on our board. We built out like a committee infrastructure, and it's not perfect. I'm not going to pretend it's perfect, but it has certainly helped distribute a lot of the work, and it allows us to put parents that have a lot of passion that maybe is not being directed in a great way right now. It allows you to give them a job and give them something they can own and give them something that they can knock on the part, and quite frankly put a little bit of the keys to the car in their hand, and that has been tremendously helpful to one of my one of my board members calls it weaponizing people. Like, we know they've got fight, and we know they've got something that can be used. Let's
Yeah.
let's use it in our favor. Let's not fight against it. So those would be my couple of things.
Well, words of wisdom from Lindsey Fry, president and co-founder of the Arizona Kachinas. Lindsey, thanks so much for joining us today, and have a great day.
Thank you so much, Drew. You too.
Take
St. Louis hockey families and business leaders, if you need custom gear that stands out and stands for something, it's time to meet 5B Designs. Founded by Shannon Brahini, a proud St. Louis mom and entrepreneur, 5B Designs is a woman-owned small business that brings purpose to custom apparel. Whether you're suiting up your youth or high school hockey team or leveling up your company's branded swag, 5B delivers top-notch quality with a personal touch. Need team stores? Not a problem. Corporate polos or event giveaways? They've got you covered. 5B makes it easy with fast turnaround, flexible service, and designs your players or employees will love to wear. Check them out at stores.inksoft.com/5B Designs. That's the word 5. And if you are watching on our YouTube feed, go ahead and scan the QR code on the top right-hand corner of the screen and see what great gear and great service looks like. Real quick before we jump back in, if you're enjoying Too Many Men on the Mic, hit like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. It's a quick click for you, but it helps us grow the show and keep bringing you great hockey conversations. You can also follow us on Instagram by scanning the QR code on your screen. And be sure to download, follow, and rate the podcast on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartMusic, or wherever you get your podcasts. Or you can go directly to our website, www.tooManyMenOnTheMic.com. That's the number 2. Those small things from you help us keep delivering new guests, downloadable coaching content, and more from the rink. All right, back to the show.
Well, what'd you think?
I think her story transcends just, girls playing hockey. I think the inspiration she took as a little girl, teaching herself to play hockey, and then taking those risks with her family to go outside of her comfort zone to get better and better, finding that avenue. And then most impressed with, aside from a lot of the nuggets that she left in that interview, her coming back to Arizona and saying, I don't want, other kids to have to make these choices. Let's see if we can create an environment, a culture, opportunity here in my home state. And that's the way we're going to organically grow this sport. I'm just continually impressed by the guests we have, and certainly an Olympian like Lyndsey is no exception. She's phenomenal.
Yeah, she really highlighted, I feel like, before you are thinking about leaving home, and especially at a young age, 13, 14, potentially going to another program in another state and another city, look, if there's a good story there, if it's a good reputable program, if there's truly an opening, if there's a role for you, if there's an opening for that role, if the stars are aligned that way, then she'll get behind it and she'll support it. But she also highlighted just the risk, and then if there's not that kind of alignment of the stars, there's a lot of parents out there in particular that are chasing this concept, this idea of something that's out there. And so I think she did a really good job of saying why, unless there's a really good reason. And if there's not a really good reason, stay home, stay with your family, stay closer to your family. You're not going to get those years back. You can go play hockey somewhere else at an older age, but continue to grow and develop.
Yeah, you know, and we see this personally with people we have relationships with. You know, it's it's a balance. You know, because there are places to play. You know, I tell players and parents who I talk to, you know, if you want to go to the store and shop around, you're going to find something to buy.
Sure.
And that's, you know, there are plenty of leagues and plenty of teams. But if you start with the end in mind, which is an old education, you know, thought process there, it definitely is start with the end in mind and what is the goal. And things have changed a lot, even in the last 5 years, you know, as the girls' game has developed and grown, there are more opportunities, and there are opportunities to stay home. But I think that, you know, a wise person once said to me, I haven't raised this kid for 15 years to watch him or her go away, especially when they're 18, 19, 20. That's kind of the natural progression. It's a topic in hockey that is kind of unique to hockey. I don't know of too many other sports where we're sending our kids away to other cities, sometimes other countries, to live with strangers. You know, what is that end result that you're looking for? And in some instances, like if the kid's driving and it's done with a true heart, then yeah, absolutely. But there's a lot of time where I think that like people are shopping around for an idea.
Yeah, and I would say it's hard to drive at, you know, 12, 13, 14.
Very hard to drive.
One thing that was eye-opening for me that I was really looking for, especially with us as coaches coaching girls, and we've had the good fortune over the last year to talk to really smart people invested in women's hockey, Rachel Bartlett, it just being one of them, but
Kristen Sager, USA Hockey.
Yeah, USA Hockey.
Sly High.
But, you know, what is something that girls can take away? And so what I absolutely loved, and I hadn't heard this before, is just shoot more and attack the net. And one point that she made, and a little backstory on this, just this point, is she played 4 full years of contact hockey with boys. So she is not afraid of physical contact in any way. But what she did say, the point I want to drive home, is that girls sometimes are apprehensive with initiating contact. And I think we've seen that at times from some of the girls that we've had the opportunity to coach. So shoot more, work on your shot. That's really a way that girls can separate themselves from the pack. And also don't be afraid to initiate contact. And she put it in the context of failing forward. The boys are perfectly fine with failing forward. Girls sometimes are a little bit more apprehensive around that. So I thought that was fascinating.
It really brought a lot of credence to our friend Rachel when she said girls perform better when they feel good and boys feel good when they perform better. I took a couple of isms from Lyndsey's interview, one of which is confidence. Confidence is a skill. And just like you're developing that shot and you're developing that attack mentality, whether you're a young girl or a young boy, that not being afraid to fail forward, that's helping you develop that confidence as a skill. And I think as coaches,
I feel like we're in business class. Fail forward. I've heard that before.
Yeah. Porter's 5 forces. Look them up. And again, don't focus on being perfect.
Yeah.
Hockey's a game of mistakes.
Yeah, and we're a flawed species. I say this frequently. So we're perfectly fine with failing and being dumb. Boys in general.
For sure. But she had a comment in here, and I'm going back and looking at my notes after I listened, specifically about the girls and their mentality, and it was very similar what gosh darn, I'm struggling to find it. Well, she had a lot of good comments. One of the things that I really liked about her, though, when she was talking about leadership and about coaching, is if you're focusing on the few, you disenchant the many. That's like Yoda.
That is like Yoda.
And so I was thoroughly impressed with Lyndsey, as I knew I would be. And once again, great job getting another awesome guest in for Too Many Men on the
Thank
Mic.
you. I feel like we need a Yoda on the table here.
We can get a Yoda with a hockey stick.
Yeah,
there
you go.
I'm sure we could 3D print that or something. We
new
know some
edition.
3D printers.
3D printers.
Hey, no free ads. No free ads. You know, but and she has a, you know, from a coaching standpoint too, talking about, you know, coaches need to feel confident to challenge the players, and parents need to realize that challenge of the players is for their benefit and to kind of be that safe place for your kids in the car.
Yeah, I mean, I just had a moment when I was talking with her about that, and she really laid it out, I feel like, and was articulate in saying, you know, let me be the coach. Let me be the bad person, good, you know, good cop, bad cop kind of role. Because what she doesn't want to do is be tough and instruct and help these kids develop, only to turn them over to their parents, knowing that they're going to have a tough ride home with mom and dad. And maybe mom and dad are going to say, you know, why didn't you, or you should, next time do this. And so I feel like she really tried to promote for all the parents out there listening, just be your kid's supporter, be your kid's advocate in the car. Let the coach do their thing. You just support them, because probably one of the best things that you can do as a parent on the backside of a coach, given some firm discipline, is just tell your kid you love watching them and that they played great, and keep it at that.
You know, one of the things that I equate that to is practice being a grandparent.
Oh, there you go.
You know, hockey, you know, it's so stressful being a parent. Spoiler, shocker. You know, water's wet, the sun's hot. It's stressful being a parent. You have this opportunity to be a fan. I felt like she was giving parents permission to be a fan. And I like putting it in the context of something that I've used in my life. And it's like, hey, as a parent, whether it's hockey, soccer, competitive diving, whatever, table tennis, practice being a grandparent, not a parent. And maybe that'll create harmony. And
I like your ism. Just practice being a fan.
Yeah.
Just practice
permission to be a fan.
Yeah. So great isms, great takeaways as always. We're so fortunate to have great guests on the Too Many Men on the Mic show. This is just yet another great example of that. But we are right on the other side of the cusp, and we're on the other side of a magical date for you and I, which is way back in the June 2025 program. We started the show, the concept, the idea, and said we're going to help people, parents, coaches, hockey players get better at the sport, help them navigate the journey. And here we are, right on the other side of a little R&R for you and me. And I don't know about you, but I feel refreshed. I'm ready to dig in, and I can't wait to unleash year 2 Too Many Men on the Mic content for our listeners out there.
Well, people that know me know that I'm not a big remember when conversation guy, but I like to look back and kind of like think about what we learned. And we had these best of shows, which I thought were great to give us a little bit of retrospect. I loved how over the course of 12 months, we kind of failed forward. And we had moments as podcasting hosts that we were like, hey, squeezing the stick a little too tight here, turned it into sawdust. Well, to graphite. But we kind of, pivoted and brought new ideas and weren't afraid to try stuff. I think of like the drill draw, coming up with the drill draw halfway through the year.
Thanks, Drift Hockey.
Absolutely. Thank you, Drift Hockey, Brian Dolan. Go to drifthockey.com.
Which I think has been fantastic. I absolutely loved having the kids do the drill draw, because we kind of talked about that as a concept at the beginning, have the kids talk about what their favorite drill is. But then we took it to another level, I feel like here just recently, where we were able to use Drift and visually show the audience and kids and parents out there and coaches why that drill is a good drill and why you should consider adding it to your practice plan.
And I think that the other things that we did, incorporating Grant more into the show and creating it, creating that personality, and
Grant had no idea.
Had no idea when he first met us. He's sitting behind the glass at good old KLIS, and all of a sudden he's like, "Who are these guys, and why are they not? Why are they talking to me?
Why do they keep talking to me?"
And now, we had Grant out on the ice finally last week, which was a ton of fun. Go to our YouTube channel or Instagram and see some clips of that.
And he did fabulous job sitting in when I was on assignment. I was grinning ear to ear, listening from afar. I thought he did a fantastic job stepping right in, but that's because he had been with us right along the journey. And I think he learned some skills. We could probably have a whole episode of Grant reflecting on his knowledge of hockey and where he came from way back at the beginning in June of 2025 to where he is now. I mean, we got him on the ice last week. So, we're getting him there slowly but surely.
So briefly looking back, what was whether it was like your most favorite thing that happened on the show or with the show, an inflection point, something where you were like, hey, this can be more than just fun?
I really enjoyed, I remember the Louisville episode. Louisville. And that was one of our first youth hockey associations that we had on. And what I really took away from that was that it's really cool to feature all these voices from throughout the country. I think of the Pensacola and how they've got, I think, one rink. And so they supplement that by going to the roller hockey rink that's on the beach right by the ocean. And it's just great stories like that where, kind of the idea of you can make a game anywhere. And we're not going to be limited just by the fact that we have one rink. We're going to make our own rink, and we're going to figure out how to play in another place in Alaska, in Las Vegas. And so I loved bringing all these youth hockey voices from throughout the country and then learning along the way. I mean, I remember Omaha, where they told us that on how they practice plan and how they set up 1.5 hour practices. So they've got 30 minutes of full ice and 30 minutes on their own, and they schedule it in a way that works for all their clubs, and they have lots and lots of teams. So I could go on and on about the youth hockey associations. I think kudos to you. You really saw an opportunity with our local high school hockey program and league. And we were looking at them originally as just being a sponsor, but that really morphed into, let's make it something more. And we turned that into a game of the week. It's kind of like I like contact sports, so I like the game of the week on NFL football. There's always kind of a marquee game. And so to me, that was our kind of youth hockey answer to a game of the week. Those are two things that, stick out to me.
I think my inflection points and where I was like, okay, we can do this. It was also terrifying at the same time.
Oh, sure. Fail forward.
Yeah. We signed Big Bear tournaments, and I can't, I will always be very, very grateful to Mark and Mitch and that the team there that were willing to come on this journey and really be, unbelievable partners early on. Sitting with Shannon Brahini at the Panera Bread over there in Des Peres, and just knowing that, we've got something real here. But ultimately talking to people who are like, hey, your email was a little late coming out. Are you guys, what's going on? So like realizing right away where people were like, hey, we're downloading your episode, or I'm on my walk with my dog and I listen to you guys on Spotify. The questions about Grant when we moved and took over our own thing.
Totally. Like, where's Grant and what's going on with him? I would also say bringing a spotlight to the moms.
Huge.
We had moms as a focus group before we even started the show, and we talked to them about what topics were interesting. And then we had, I think one of our highest rated segments was a mom's episode back in the spring. And so I would only amplify that by saying, the women that drive youth hockey, some of the great coaches out there, some of them we've already named this episode, and bringing a voice to them and a part of our game that is the fastest growing part of our game.
Yep.
And bringing those voices to our listeners. That's been a lot of fun too.
Well, before we look forward, one thing I want to make sure that we do as we put a bow on our first year, an official bow on our first year, is say thank you to the businesses and the organizations, both locally here in St. Louis and around the country, who believed in us. And so Big Bear Tournaments, 5B Designs, Chicken and Pickle, Mattingly Lumber, Washington University Orthopedics, Vantage Credit Union, Joe Watson of Stiefel, and Mid-States. We can't thank you guys enough, you guys and girls, so much for believing in us and really giving us the platform and forum to bring an even better year. And most importantly, I want to say thank you to Bob Mancini, USA Hockey, and being affiliated with the show, being regular contributors.
The godfather of fun.
It's been amazing, and it's opened up so many opportunities and doors for us. We can't thank you enough. But we got to look forward, and let's talk about 2026, 27.
I mean, just bigger, better, always figuring out ways to improve. I'm so looking forward to another season of Mid-States hockey. And what that means is the format might change a little bit. I'm really excited to announce our new sponsor.
Yeah.
That next week.
Presenting sponsor
that we'll be bringing into the fold. We've got some cool ideas like, I don't know, tournaments and maybe even a youth hockey pickleball league that's in store. And so when I think of what's ahead, the opportunities are endless. One thing we are going to conquer, though, and this is me falling on my sword, is I am the least qualified in this too many men on the mic operation at social media. And I say that, and I know that. And so one of my goals this year is for us to get only improve our social media content. And so what I think that means for listeners, subscribers out there, is you're going to see more content from us. You're going to see it on a more frequent basis, probably closer to the daily. And I'm so old that I'm going to listen to some of the younger people and their ideas, help coach us, and for us to get better at that, because we've got a lot of players that are out there that listen, and especially through the Mid-State segment last year, I learned that right off the bat. Am I going to be on Instagram? Is this interview going to be out there? Is it something that I can share with my friends and my family? And so we're going to give the listeners and the interviewees what they want, and we're going to get better in that area. I'm going to commit to it, and I'm going to learn a little bit along the way.
And I think through it all, the key focus, organizations, people are successful when they stay true to their roots, and as they're growing, we're always going to bring this back. Number one, it's going to be a players, coaches, and parents show. Everything we do, the fun we have, the people we bring on, the events that we look to do, it's all driving to help people learn this sport, enjoy this sport, and remember that hockey is more fun the better you get at it. And and I'm most excited about our ability this year to give back. We've worked out a couple of agreements with some local hockey charities and foundations where we're going to be donating skates to players in need, especially those that are constantly growing. And halfway through the year, all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, I may have to spend $300 to $400 that I was not budgeting for. And hockey's expensive enough. And now we're fortunate enough with the success that we've had here this first year that we're going to be able to give back in a very tangible way. And we're hoping that some of our friends here in the hockey community in St. Louis and around the country get on board with us with that. And that's a big thank you to RK and Luna Sports for being able to empower us to do that. So that's huge.
I feel like that's a ball of momentum that's moving, and how exciting to be able to give some families in a very expensive sport just a little bit of relief with a critical, probably the most critical piece of equipment, which is skates. And so thrilled to do that. My hope is we can only grow that number to get as big as possible.
Yep.
And then look at this on 12/31/26 and say, what's the tally? How many skates were we able to put out there?
Absolutely. And again, big thanks to RK Sports and Luna Sports for helping us. They've donated, I believe, 4 pairs right off the bat that we're going to be able to give away. And if we can get some other businesses involved, we'll be able to buy some more and give those away as well. So
love it.
Huge things that we're going to be doing in and around the community. But again, thank you to all of our sponsors. And most importantly, thank you to our wives for letting us do this.
Wow.
Throw that one out there. Our wives for letting us do this because we kind of take off once a week or twice a week and do this.
Is this so you can get the second dog?
You saw it's coming full circle. It's coming full circle.
I sniffed that out.
And more, I see what you just did there. And most importantly, thank you to all the listeners who are driving those numbers and analytics that are allowing us to like, subscribe, repost, all of that great stuff allows us to continue this. And there's going to be some really, really exciting things happening in 26-27. So
let's fire up a drill.
Let's absolutely fire up a drill draw here. And
courtesy of our friends at Drift Hockey.
You know what that music means. If you've been watching the show here for the better part of the year, you know that Coach Drew and Coach Jared are big fans of NHL 94 back in the Sega. And this is about Drift Hockey Drill Draw. Drift Hockey, built from the bench, the all-in-one hockey tool. Head over to drifthockey.com and sign up for an all-in-one tool that does everything from helping you schedule, clip films, draw up practice plans. You can even schedule games. Drift Hockey, built from the bench. All right, Coach, you are up with you're on the clock for the drill draw here.
I love it. Well, this is a drill that's progressive, and it really is designed. It gives you flexibility around your goaltending situation because you may have one goalie, you may have 2 goalies. It also depends on the level of hockey you play and. With older kids, maybe you have kids that play high school, but also play club. And so let's start it first with a net. And we're going to put the net normally where it is, right below the goal line. And we're going to assume in this draw, our drill draw, that we've only got one goalie. I'll come back to that here in a second.
So we good there?
Yep, right there.
All right.
And then we're going to put 2 players. Let's do 2 players in blue in front of the net. Let's put a goalie in front of the net. How about that? Let's start with a goalie. Give them some love.
Give a goalie. We'll make the goalie red.
Yep.
Good.
Perfect. And then let's put 2 players of opposing color, also kind of in the slot area in front of the goal.
How's that look?
Looks great.
Great.
And then let's put 2 more players of an opposing color right beside them in front of the net.
So these guys are on the goalies team.
Correct.
How's that look?
That looks great. And let's put a coach right above the blue line, right in the middle. And let's give him a set of pucks.
A gaggle of pucks?
A gaggle.
Let's give him 2 gaggles. There we go.
Perfect. And then let's take red players, and right from where your cursor was just a second ago with that puck, let's line them up on the blue line all the way from that puck all the way to the top of the boards. Let's just throw, 5-6 players out there. Put them in a line. Yep.
Okay.
And then let's do the same thing with blue players on the other side, going to the other.
You're like the Bob Ross of drill draw right now. I just want to let you know. Sorry if you don't know who Bob Ross is, but it's like
the happy painter.
We'll put a little happy little puck right there.
Put a little happy guy.
We should do a Bob Ross episode.
That would be fantastic. Okay, and so what do we got? We got a 2-on-2 in front of the net, and why are all those players along the blue line. Well, they're there because they're available. And one of the things I like about this drill is that you got to pay attention and everybody can be involved. So the first step is the coach is going to fire the puck in. And yep, there you go. And so suddenly we got a 2-on-2 battle. And if you choose to, let's say that let's say that blue player down by the arrow wins the puck. So let's let that blue player grab the puck.
All right. He's gonna come down here.
There we go. Yeah.
Get that puck. I wish you would have taken a straight line, but for effect, we're gonna do it. We're gonna bow to the puck.
Edge work. So this blue player obviously can choose to just keep the play between the 2-on-2. And there's nothing wrong with that. If they feel like they've got a play down by the net and they feel that they can score without using help from the players on their team, they can play that out. But let's say one of those red players angles him into the corner or perhaps takes the puck away. Either one. So suddenly those players have the option to use the players up on the blue line. Now, if you're a coach out there listening, you can keep it as simple as moving the puck up to the players on the blue line with an understanding that the players on the blue line are stationary. All they can do is pass. They cannot shoot. And so it's truly give and go, moving the puck back and forth depending on what color you are. Now, let's say you want to progress this drill. And so then you could change it up after maybe running this drill for, I don't know, let's say 3 to 4 minutes. And you could decide you can activate players. So that's in the way that you could progress this drill where suddenly that defenseman joins the play and can become part of it. And so suddenly then you have an odd man situation. You've got a 3-on-2 where you didn't have one before. You could add another wrinkle to it and say, well, we're going to activate players, but you can't activate. There can be no more than 4 players on either team at any given time. So this is a good drill to start simple, build on it, progress it, and then decide how far you want to take it. You could even decide if you want to give those players on the blue line the opportunity to shoot. Why would you do that? Because you've got a bunch of players that are around the front of the net. So if you're going to take that step, what I would say is make sure your defensemen and your forwards know the deal. The deal is the defensemen shoot low. The forwards go to the net and feel safe going to the net because they're not going to get hit in the head because they know the defensemen are going to shoot low. So that's yet another progression that you could add to this. So I like this drill because you can keep it really basic if you have young players. When I used to run this drill, we would just keep the players on the blue line stationary. Or maybe we would activate 1, maybe 2 tops. If you work with older players, you can add multiple wrinkles in that and decide how far you want to take it as a coach. But it's a great drill to do with 1 goalie in 1 net. If you do have 2 goalies, you can play this same game. Obviously, you're playing cross ice then. So then you're going to have 2 goals at either side of the circle, but same concept. And so it's a fun drill because everybody's involved. And one of the things in coaching I feel like we're always looking for is how do we keep players involved so people aren't just simply standing in line and moving through.
Well, I'm naming it Acre's Attack Edition.
Nice.
So love this. Love the optionality there of having the players as bumpers only, and then activating to go to 3-on-2, 3v3, 4v3. But then also just, hey, puck's on your stick, make a play with it. You know, and I think it's like you said, I hate having kids stand around. Sometimes you got to have lines. We understand that. Otherwise, people are just milling all over the place doing their own thing. But we want to make sure that they're focused. And I think when you tell them, hey, you're part of this drill no matter where you are on the ice, that's a great thing no matter what age group. Even NHLers can benefit from that. So
we'll steal it if you're a coach. Add it to your practice plan if you find it valuable. And always, thanks to Drift Hockey and Brian for making drill.
on our website, Too Many Men on the Mic. That's the number 2. Head on down to the Coach's Corner and the Coach's Back Room and be able to download this and all other drills that we've had with our special guests from USA Hockey and from hockey associations across the country. That's Drift, Drill Draw powered by Drift, the all-in-one hockey tool.
So every time I hear that music, it makes me think, and now I'm going to put a challenge out there. And Grant is also on assignment. He's on his R&R right now, but when he gets back, I think we should have a Too Many mic on the episode, but I think it should be Sega Battles.
Gretzky making Gretzky bleed in '94. They took it out of the game. We could be like Swingers, the movie Swingers.
Jeremy Roenick. I mean, just
he was not fair in that game.
We could, so we'll come up with a round robin. You and I play, you and Grant play, Grant and I play. We figure out how to do a little mini tournament, and I want to see what Grant's skills are like in Sega.
They got to be better than what they were on the ice last Friday. I will give him credit. He did not fall. But again, head over to our Too Many Men on the Mic Instagram page or our YouTube channel, and you'll see some hot clips of Grant going in on breakaways, going in on 3-on-0s, complaining about the gear. He was like a 10-year-old. It's too big. It's too itchy.
I mean, there was a moment where he was just like, "How do I put the skates on?" And I'm like, "Dude, come on." But you know what? He did have a shot. I'll give him kudos to that. He had a better release than I thought. And
it's not a shot unless it's between the pipes.
Well, check out the video. Great banter. And we were on him for a while, so we finally made it happen. He actually showed up, and he didn't ghost us. He came to practice, and we got the kids involved and made it a thing. It was fun.
Now, if we can only get him out to a gig,
I know, right?
Goals. That's
goals.
Yeah, very, very. Baby steps for Grant to come out and listen to yacht rock and good old classic rock.
He doesn't know what yacht rock is. We should ask him what his favorite.
Everybody
yacht
knows
rock
what yacht rock is.
Does he know who the Eagles are?
Are the Eagles yacht rock or are they California?
Yeah, they're kind of California rock.
I'm thinking of like the Little River Band.
Oh yeah.
Steely Dan.
I was just listening to Little River Band.
What was the song?
Well, it was Happy Anniversary.
Oh yeah.
Which is a good one. I mean,
favorite Little River Band song.
Reminiscing.
Oof.
Hands down.
That is a good one.
One of the greatest songs ever.
Lady.
Oh, Lady's great too.
Ladies excellent.
Yeah. Underrated band.
Night Owl.
Hugely.
Night Owl.
Fantastic song.
Night Owl is great.
Yeah.
The bass line in there.
Little River Band's sneaky because it's one of those bands that you hear on the radio and it comes on and it's like, yeah. And then suddenly you're singing along to it and you're like, yeah, this is actually a pretty good song. Oh, wait a minute. It is the Little River Band. I actually like some of their songs.
Some of the great, it's a tribute to Australia. Little River Band, they're from Australia, right? Yeah.
I don't know. Are they?
I think they're from Australia.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Men at Work, except for
Work.
Colin Hay, the whole band's from Australia. Yeah. Midnight Oil.
Ooh.
Midnight Oil.
So good.
So I worked with this guy years ago. He's a big Midnight Oil fan. And our boss saw this album. And he's like, is that a Kenneth Cole ad? Now we're really dating ourselves. We're getting a little slappy here.
Beds are burning.
I'm trying to think. I mean, everybody just thinks of AC/DC, but they're.
All right, well, we got to talk to Grant when he gets back.
Absolutely,
we got to quiz him on yacht rock, and we got to tee up this Sega thing. I think we should have a whole entire episode on Sega, and then we should get some banner going, get some people to chime in, and make it. Get some comments.
100%, 100%. It'll be a bunch of everybody over the age of 45, but who cares? Because it's certainly not what they play today. That's for sure. Well, folks, again, thank you so much for the great year. It's kind of been like, it's like the holiday season, right? The end of the year, being able to kind of look back. We've had about 3 or 4 weeks of best ofs and nostalgia. And now we're clear-eyed and ready for a great season ahead of us. Thank you, as always, to our sponsors. Thank you to Drift Hockey. Thank you to 5B Designs. Big announcement next week. Let's go we got a little golf action tomorrow, which will be yesterday when the show actually drops. Real quick before we go, we would be remiss if we didn't offer our condolences and thoughts to the Pruss family, the Liberty hockey family, the Carshield hockey family, and the St. Peter's hockey family. We lost a great young man in the hockey community, Zach Pruss, over the past weekend. And we actually were affected. We actually had Zach and some of his teammates on the show and his coach, Mark Turnaspeed, on the show back in January when Liberty played Holt in the Mid-States Game of the Week. Just a dynamic kid, funny, fun-loving, great teammate, and by all accounts, just a wonderful, wonderful young man. So our hearts go out to his mom, dad, his family, and to his hockey family at Liberty High School, Carshield, and St. Peter's. The Too Many Men on the Mic family wants to just extend our condolences and tell everybody, if you're put a stick out on the front porch, sticks out for Zach, and hug your loved ones. Never a great thing. And again, condolences to the family.